Hey there everybody, welcome back to my channel, Living in San Antonio, Texas. Normally I'm busy showing you around San Antonio in new construction homes, but today, as you can tell, we're in a little bit of a different setting. Today I wanted to cover some local groundbreaking news that's happening just on the outskirts of San Antonio in the Texas Hill Country, and I wanted to bring in a special guest for y'all this evening to go ahead and talk a little bit more on professional insights into the wine industry and what's happening with new construction communities. So here with me, I have Taylor Daniel. Taylor, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, my name's Taylor. I'm a winemaker who's lived in the area for coming on 6 years now. I'm pretty well steeped in the Texas wine industry.
Awesome. So I did let Taylor know about this brand new community called Puerto del Lobo, which is in Johnson City, Texas. I'm going to put up the article here that we're referencing throughout this video. It's from mysa.com. And today we're going to be breaking it down from a real estate perspective and a wine perspective and give you our insights. We're going to be talking about things like what makes this community so different, what can San Antonio buyers learn from this, and how does wine fit into real estate.
And let's go ahead and get on into it.
Imagine that you could live in the Texas Hill Country in between Fredericksburg and Johnson City on your own piece of land with a vineyard in your backyard. This may be a dream for some, but it's about to become a reality for others. Puerto del Lobo is a Mexican winery that has broken ground officially in the Texas Hill Country on a 208-acre lot of land, and they are going to be creating something brand new to the Hill Country. This community is going to be offering luxury residential lots with vineyards on each property. We've both lived in Fredericksburg for a couple of years, but Taylor has worked there for even longer. What are some things you could expect living around Fredericksburg, like amenities, things to do, people to see, wildlife? Tell us all about it.
Fredericksburg sits right smack in the middle of the Texas Hill Country. Beautiful scenery, great people, great food and drink to be had at every turn. It's turned into a more tourist town in the last several years, and it is the home of the Texas wine industry. Surrounding this, you have rivers, you have wildlife. It is also a center for Texas deer hunting. It has some of the highest populations per acre of land of white-tailed deer in all of North America. Depending on what your pursuit is, whether it's wine, whether it's food, whether it's hunting, whether it's hiking, Fredericksburg and the Texas Hill Country is a center for it.
Amenities that the clubhouse has said to be offering include pickleball courts, wineries, boutique hotels, a clubhouse, and a restaurant. Starting price for these lots?
$2.9 million.
From what I can tell, their vision is to create a community centered around wine, food, and of course, community. Next, let's move into the lifestyle concept. So, lifestyle communities are nothing new. They're all around San Antonio. For example, a 55 and up community. There are also community amenities in each different master planned community. Count how many times I say community in this video, that make it appealing for other people. Tying this to real estate trends, most people want to live their hobbies. So in this case, if you've always wanted to own a vineyard or perhaps have a vineyard in your backyard, this is a new concept. Let's talk about the emotional side of vineyard living, the connection to land, creation, vision. What would you have to say are some of the emotional things that would bring people into something like this that would make people want to own a vineyard if they don't already do?
People want their wines to come from the land that they're standing on, or to be representative of a particular time and place. That is what the concept of terroir is. It's what something is from the land, from the place. It is very attractive for people to build their own vineyard. However, building your own vineyard is not for everybody. I make wine for a living, and I don't necessarily want to take care of a vineyard. In this community, vineyard space will be tended by the developer.
It seems.
As best as
It seems. From the article, we can't really tell, but it does seem that Puerto del Lobo will be taking care of everything, but that was one of our big questions that I'm sure we'll get more information about as things kind of roll out.
The trade here being you provide space in your yard for vines to grow. The exchange is the developer, as best as we can tell, will take care of those vines and shepherd them into being bottles of wine from the place that you live. It is as thorough of a connection as you can have to the wines that you drink and the foods that you eat.
Other lifestyle themed communities could be golf themed communities, equestrian themed, senior living communities, but this is something new. This is something I haven't necessarily seen before, especially in the Texas Hill Country. So how would you think from a winery perspective that this specific trend of creating a vineyard in your backyard situation would impact surrounding areas like Bernie, San Antonio, Greene, New Braunfels, etc.?
I think this is a very interesting concept because for years there's been a tremendous push and pull with real estate developers and vineyard and wine growers, where the push, the pull, people want to live where vineyards are and to look at vineyards. People don't necessarily want to have and take care of vineyards. Run this forward several decades, and then you find yourself in a place where Napa is now, where go ahead and try and buy 100 acres worth of land to build a vineyard in prime real estate of Napa. It's not doable from a farming perspective, given the cost of the land. This appears to strike a middle ground where you take attractive real estate locations and merge the two, where you are then still able to continue grape growing, and you find a balance between the two. The homeowner gets what they want. They get to live in the wine country, and they get to look at the vines and be part of each vintage. And the grower gets what they want, and they strike a peace treaty with the real estate development, and people can still live in the area, and you don't have to then pick one or the other.
Kind of going off of that as well, so you did a really good job kind of tying in the real estate perspective from the wine perspective and everything like that. I think a huge way that it's going to impact surrounding areas that I would be really curious to talk to somebody about is water. So Johnson City just this past year was already on water restrictions for a lot of the summer, and the Edwards Aquifer, as you know it, is a large aquifer. However, water is becoming the next oil in Texas, and with an operation of this scale, is Johnson City going to be able to handle how much water they're using? Maybe something to consider. So for the next section, I did want to move into the winemaker's perspective, which we just kind of trailed off into. So let's go ahead and hear it. I'm super excited to hear from Taylor. First, I want to ask you a little bit more about that terroir word that you used earlier. What is it? Why is it important? And why should our viewers care about it right now?
Well, if you are going to own your little slice of the Texas Hill Country, it's important to know what that brings. Terroir meaning why something is the way it is due to where it's from. Your wines are going to be an expression of the land. It's important to think about what Texas is and where it is in the world. Texas is not cold and mountainous. Texas is hot, but also there's a lot of other hot places in the world that produce tremendous wines that are going to be very similar in essence to the wines you'll find in Texas. Think southern France, think Spain. You're not thinking Germany. You're not thinking Washington. So this is the world in which the Texas wine industry lives. Warm weather, big, bold red wines.
So going off of that, what kind of grapes could actually grow in your backyard vineyard if you were to live at Puerto de Lobo?
The Texas wine industry is very much settled, or it's always in flux, but the predominant grapes of the Texas wine industry are Cabernet Sauvignon, Tempranillo. You have some other southern French varieties and some other Spanish varieties that are at play too, such as Mourvedre. There's Grenache. Malbec is here and there. White wines, you can still grow Chardonnay. You can still grow Sauvignon Blanc, but it's not ideally suited to those. Your red wines are likely going to be what you would see most of.
So after taking a look on their website, it looks like these vineyards are going to be surrounding the homes, of course, which is what we've talked about for this entire video thus far, with your own option to make a personal wine. Realistically, how small of a vineyard would you probably need to create wine? There are going to be 200 acres of land in this community, which will include homes. So what's your take on that? Is this enough space? Is this practical?
I think it is practical depending on the size of the plot in which the house itself is on, subtracting from this. But, I mean, to do a little bit of quick mental math, if you can grow comfortably 3 tons of grapes per acre of vine, and you are going to get about 100 gallons worth per half ton, let's use round numbers here, 300 gallons, there's 60 gallons in a barrel, you're going to make a lot of wine in not very much space. A single backyard is going to make more bottles than you could probably drink in a lifetime.
What do you think the appeal of making your own wine is, even just as a hobby? I know it might tie back into terroir and a little bit about that, but I would love to hear your perspective on that.
Wine as a hobby is an avenue that you can find yourself interested at any point in your life. You can be, as a new homeowner, you can be fascinated with experiencing the land that you sit on through a whole new dimension. You can find it interesting from the science perspective. You can find it exciting from the social perspective. To show your friends and family the thing that you have created and have brought to share with them. Wine's about sharing, wine's about community. Wine is about an expression of the land and the place that you live in. And from the culinary perspective, just as some people make sourdough at home, making your own wine at home is a whole new dimension to express your own creativity.
It's fascinating that developers are weaving this into real estate, not just as an amenity, but as an identity for people. So, just to kind of finish up this segment, what is the romantic versus the realistic side of having a vineyard in your backyard? As we mentioned earlier, it sounds like the community is going to be doing most of the maintaining, but what are some things that you can expect from having something of this caliber in your backyard?
Vineyards take a lot of work. They take a lot of love and care from a lot of people. Many people have romantic images of vineyards trailing off over the hills and just peacefully looking at them as static objects, in which they're not. They require work. There's going to be tractors. There's going to be workers, likely, tending to these things. I don't know what the scale of their harvest equipment is, but there is going to be hustle and bustle at certain times of the year happening in the vineyard. It's an exciting time, and it's very exciting to be a part of it, but it is not just a static landscape such as you would look at trees or boulders and rivers and things like that.
So just thinking about the real estate side of everything, how could this concept inspire future San Antonio developments? Could it be communities where you have your own garden in your backyard? Inspiring future developments in San Antonio, thinking outside of the box of what living could be, living amongst nature, living amongst plants. I mean, what do you think? How do you think that this could inspire future developments in San Antonio and surrounding areas?
I think it's an interesting take of how to build a new community and take it outside the box and be able to blend productive space agriculturally with new community living. Find a way to have both coexist and not have to pick one or the other, housing development or maintain a vineyard. We need the vineyards. We also need houses for people to live in new homes and new communities. Make both happen.
A couple of tips for my buyers and my viewers that are watching that are interested in new construction communities. Whenever you're looking at these communities, ask yourself, what kind of community am I looking for and what type of amenities are important to me? Because you never know, there could very well be something out there that fits your box perfectly. Look for amenities that fit your lifestyle and consider investing where design meets experience. We are in a pretty competitive market right now, and I think that this is something that developers could learn from Puerto del Lobo in terms of thinking outside of the box when creating communities like this. San Antonio is home to a lot of master plan communities that are all pretty much the same. They have a pool, they have a playground, they're located near schools, but I think this is something that stands out completely and something that more people would be looking for than you may imagine. And it actually might be you. One of my favorite things are doing these tour videos of new construction communities so I can be in the know of everything that's happening in San Antonio and the Hill Country area, especially kind of before it happens. I mean, this community is currently being developed. George's Ranch that I viewed previously has just come to life and still has more to be done. So if you like what you're seeing and if you want to stay in the know as well, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. Next, let's do a little Q&A. All right, well, cheers. We thought we would open some Hill Country wine and have a little Q&A. So, Taylor, would you ever want to live in a community like this? Is this something that appeals to you as a winemaker?
Absolutely. I think it'd be beautiful. I love vineyards. I love the expression of a place that wine can create, and to be creating wines that are from the ground under my own 2 feet, my own house. I think that'd just be wonderful.
I know especially that one of your goals and one of our goals is to have our own winery, have our own wine product. Would this be something that would be easier than buying your own winery and vineyard, or just kind of the same?
Well, if you're going to start a new project and you then need to specialize, and now you need to have dedicated spaces for everything, this blending of the two makes it really easy to get your foot in the door with living around vineyards. If you would like to start your own vineyard, you have to start your own vineyard from scratch. Moving into a community like this, you live amongst the vineyard that is already existent. You don't have to start a vineyard as a business in itself. People often forget that vineyards are themselves a whole business. It's quite a few steps above gardening. And so people will often want a vineyard, but they envision it as more of a garden, and it is a lot more demanding than that. Moving into a community such as this, you get the best of both worlds. It's kind of a 1 foot in, 1 foot out kind of thing. For me, I view vineyards as more of a work type of thing where I would need to dedicate myself 100%. I would enjoy living around a community like this because I'm busy during the day at a winery. I don't necessarily have time or the interest in maintaining 2 projects at once. Many of the people that would be moving here are also going to be working professionals. They're not going to be all the way in as far as it comes to doing vineyard work and vineyard management. This, you get to look at it, you get to enjoy it, you get to immerse yourself in it, but you are not responsible for the day-to-day upkeep and management of it. And to you, would you sell homes in a place like this?
Absolutely. I think that, especially just kind of going back to each of the amenities that these master plan communities have, this is a dream that a lot of people have, and this is a Mexican-based winery that's coming in and developing this land in the Texas Hill Country. I think that it's going to bring a lot of people in. I also think that I'm backed with a really great team. I have Carrie Fletcher, which is one of EXP's commercial advisors on my team. that can help kind of guide through the process of all of the land requirements that you would need to make sure that this is going to be something that is a great idea and that's going to be substantial, and that there's going to be everything that you would possibly need to make this an absolute success. A lot of different people have dream community visions like lakes, waterfront, vineyards now. This is still technically in the Hill Country area. It's outside of San Antonio, but do you think that this is something that San Antonio itself could support? Is there a reason that all of the grapes and all the vineyards are out in the Hill Country rather than in central San Antonio?
Yes, absolutely. I think a community like this would be hugely popular and much needed. Myself, I grew up on a lake. Lakes are wonderful. This is another type of scenic landscape to be able to look at and enjoy visually, more so than you would be able to by just being out in it. You can only be on a lake so many hours of the day. However, looking at a lake is nice any time of the day or even in the night. San Antonio is getting more and more hemmed in by the city. It is very hard to find a suitable space for a project such as this once you get inside of the main loop. In an area like this near Johnson City, you have the space to expand. You are able to then blend rural agricultural living with a new build community, and you then get to strike a balance between the two. You have an agricultural space, but you also have your community and you have your friends and your neighbors close at hand. You get to look at the scenic vineyards. You don't have to travel to go do it. You don't have to give up anything that you would otherwise to experience a space such as this.
Overall, the demand for experience-driven communities will continue to grow, and I think that this is something that is going to open up a lot of doors. I think that this is something that's going to change the game. Even just family members we've had have described dreams like this, and it is now going to be a reality of something that you can purchase and own for yourself. Even if you're a first-time home buyer or a move-up buyer, this video is a great example of how you can think about things that you would like to have in the communities for yourself, amenity-wise, view-wise, things like that. And there are options all over San Antonio and surrounding areas that are not with vineyards in your backyard. Leave a comment down below. Would you live in a vineyard community? And what's your dream home lifestyle? Well, Taylor, thank you so much for joining us on this video today. I think it gave a lot of insight as to what you can get in the Texas Hill Country and what you can expect with a community like this. As always, please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe if you liked this video, and leave a comment down below. Is this the kind of content you are liking? These sit-down videos, interviewing, kind of breaking down the newest and latest in San Antonio and the Hill Country area? Always remember, I'm your Texas Realtor. Feel free to give me a call, text, or email, days, nights, and weekends, if you're interested in learning more about this community, any other community in San Antonio, or if you just want to chat about your options. We'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.
Cheers.